Welcome back to our special edition of New Day here at Nordstrom. And it all started right near here, actually. And so to talk about the history, we bring in historian Feliks Banel. Thank you for being here.
Wonderful to be here.
Okay, so take us back. It all started with two men and a pair of shoes.
Well, there's just one shoe to start.
Okay.
No, just kidding. You have to go back to the gold rush in the 1890s. A Swedish immigrant named John Nordstrom. That name might sound familiar to you.
It does, it does.
He went to Alaska, to the Klondike, brought back $13,000 in 1897, which now would be like closer to $500,000. He and a business partner, Carl Wallen, got together, created Wallen and Nordstrom, and sold only shoes in a little shop at 4th and Pike, just around the corner from here. Didn't open their second store till the early 20s up in the U District. But then they became this retail giant now that everybody knows and loves here from Seattle.
We really do love it. I used to work here. I absolutely am a fan. And the first store opened close by to here, right?
Yeah, and it was just shoes. It was Nordstrom and Wallen, just shoes. And then the next generation of Nordstrom family came in. Carl Wallen retired, and they decided to expand. In 1963, they bought a little Seattle chain called Best's Apparel. And for a while, it was called Nordstrom Best, the way they combine names like that. And then throughout the 60s and 70s, they expanded and sold clothes, expanded along the West Coast, up into Alaska eventually, and became this sort of trademark with their customer service, kind of became second to none, really. And I learned sort of mythology. I was living on the East Coast back in the late 80s, and I went to a training at this grocery store, and they said, okay, there's this store in Seattle where they have really incredible customer service. I knew right away they were talking about Nordstrom. This is before Nordstrom was national. And they said a customer brought some snow tires back, and they took them, even though the store doesn't sell snow tires. Stop. It was like a punchline, because if you're at this little training at this store in Boston, you don't know that Nordstrom doesn't sell snow tires. And the premise was they'd bought a chain in Alaska, customer brought his snow tires back, he'd bought at that store. They valued him so much as a customer, they of course took the snow tires back. And that's how Nordstrom becomes part of mythology. Again, even before the internet, this story is spreading all over the world. The fact that this little grocery store chain in Boston, 3,000 miles away, knows all about the snow tires, that blew me away as a Seattle resident who'd grown up with Nordstrom and now knew it was this national thing.
Definitely. And by the 1980s, like we're talking about, Nordstrom had expanded, and because of this high rate of customer service, like you were talking about, and part of the American mythology. And so what do you think are some of the most iconic parts of Nordstrom here?
Well, the fact that they took this old flagship store from the old Frederick and Nelson department store and became the Nordstrom's flagship back in 1998 is this incredible high watermark, because this location, people have been coming here to buy stuff since 1918 when this store was built, and there are all sorts of big department stores around Seattle. So it made perfect sense that after Frederick and Nelson closed down, Nordstrom could expand into this incredible location and offer all these different products and services in a place that people have been shopping in literally for more than 100 years now. It's really an incredible sort of combination of sense of place, this incredible customer service. Seattle's known for its customer service. All these businesses from Seattle, but it all traces back to Nordstrom establishing this sort of gold standard for how you treat the customer. And it's really, people in other cities don't realize, and we here in Seattle sort of take it for granted, but we've been spoiled for decades because of that approach.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about, too, one of the most iconic things I think at Nordstrom, the Nordstrom Santa.
Yeah, the Santa in the window at the holiday season, you can't miss. Even if you don't have kids, even if you don't believe in Santa, you go and see that because it's just the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And Santa's been in that window when it was Frederick and Nelson, going back to the 1930s. And Santa photos to sell, take a picture of Santa with a kid, that was invented right here on this first floor of this building.
Way.
So it makes perfect sense from a tradition standpoint and a history standpoint for Nordstrom to be carrying on the tradition of the downtown Seattle Santa Claus from this gorgeous 1918 structure that Nordstrom has made their very own. I doubt many people wandering around now know this is the old Fredericks. But if you look at old pictures of Frederick and Nelson, they've paid tribute to it, but brought it forward and made it their own.
And I heard the display could get a little crazy, right?
Oh, they'd have live seals, they'd have live puppet shows, they'd have all sorts of stuff. And like, they would reveal them the day after Thanksgiving. And so everyone would drive down, because there's nothing else going on, right? You go after Thanksgiving dinner, you drive downtown and watch the new windows being unveiled at the biggest department store in town.
Gosh, so amazing. And history is all about connections and memories. So what role does Nordstrom play for us, would you say?
Obviously, humans are social animals, right? And there's online shopping, which of course Nordstrom has a website, everyone has a website, but there's no substitute for when you walk in that door and you get that smell of that perfume or whatever it is, that magical scent that they pump in there. You know you're in Nordstrom. You hear the cash registers, not ringing like bells anymore, but there's all these sort of sights and sounds You see your friends and neighbors. You know you're in this part of Seattle that's always been a heart of the retail core. And the fact it's being carried on now in a very strange and interesting time for retail and for shopping and for commerce and trade in general, there's something that's very comforting about it. And as humans, we love that. And as people from Seattle who know Nordstrom as his hometown favorite, we love it even more.
Gosh, thank you so much for being here today. We so appreciate it.